Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and delighted to have a couple gentlemen in the studio to talk about a topic that now is making front page news throughout Southern Oregon, and I am so glad that the Christian community is getting involved in this. With us in the studio today is Steve Raycraft. He's the director of ACT Southern Oregon. He'll explain what that is coming up in just a moment. And also Pastor Duane Stark is with us, and he's with Global Outreach at River Valley Community Church, and a candidate, by the way, for the 4th District State Representative. So I understand that role. You know, politics and religion goes together, doesn't it? Just like a hand and glove.
Sure does.
Gentlemen, thanks for being with us. And this is a big topic when we deal with sex trafficking. We've had a lot of information come out on this, and I'm saddened to find out that Southern Oregon seems to be somewhat of a haven for this. But Steve, let's start with you. What is ACT?
Well, ACT Ministries, ACT Southern Oregon stands for Abolish Child Trafficking. It's a ministry that is based out of River Valley Community Church in Grants Pass. We've been active for 2.5, going on 3 years now, in the effort to bring awareness to this subject in our local community.
How big of a problem is it?
You know, surprisingly, even in Southern Oregon, it's a very big problem. I know Duane can speak to some of the issues and the numbers nationwide as well.
Duane?
Yeah, this is one of those issues that we wish that we could close our eyes and have it go away. We pretend, or growing up, we hear about things like this in Thailand and other places in the world. But here in the U.S., we're looking at, they say anywhere at the low end of 100,000 children, high end up to 300,000. That's, if you take Autzen Stadium, 54,000 people, packed full, that's every person in Autzen Stadium twice. At least that many children are being trafficked here in the U.S.
Wow.
People think that, you know, is this really an issue here in small communities like Southern Oregon? I've had the opportunity in my experiences to work in basically a psychiatric rehab facility. And there were 3 different kids that I remember going through this facility. One of them, his parents started trafficking him when he was 2 years old. Okay. Another one, the last time they found her, and the reason they brought her in, is that she was listed for sale on Craigslist at age 15. Another girl, age 16. This is all here in Josephine County, Jackson County area. Another one at age 16. She ran away from home, bad choice, got drugged, and they found her about a week later, and some men had kept her drugged over at the coast and had been trafficking her while they were there. So it's a very real issue here, and even in small towns like ours.
Well, so what do you want to do with this, Steve? What's the program you got going here with ACT?
Well, our constant mission is awareness. What we are aiming to do is to make this issue one that flies above the radar, that people know about more and more. And once the understanding is out there of the type of issue we're dealing with and how important it is and how it affects our local community, we want to be able to bring it into our schools. We want to be able to protect our kids by educating them, by training our educators, parents, youth group leaders.
Is there an event for this?
We have several events during the month of January. January is National Human Trafficking Awareness Month. In Southern Oregon, we have designated it as Child Trafficking Awareness Month.
Okay.
And the county government here in Jackson County, as well as Josephine County and the city of Grants Pass, are issuing proclamations. Those will be issued next Wednesday during the regular business meetings at all of those government meetings, both here in Medford and in Grants Pass.
Now they can go to Southern Oregon, or excuse me, actsouthern.com to get more information. That's actsouthern.com to get more information.
I do want to mention too that at the high school this week, Grants Pass High School, the leadership group has taken on ownership of this. They're having events in school all week long. They're also, we're having at the Grants Pass High School Library on Thursday evening, Rebecca Bender, who is a survivor advocate from Grants Pass, who grew up in Grants Pass and graduated Grants Pass High School, was trafficked and then was rescued out of trafficking, will be speaking, and there'll be a film at 6 p.m. at the high school library on Thursday.
Well, what's the normal or the scenario? What happens? How does this occur?
Duane?
Well, there isn't really a generic. We tend to think, oh, these are runaways that are making bad choices, survival sex type things.
Right.
And sure, it happens in that occasion, but you'll hear from Rebecca's story and other people that anyone can be susceptible. And it starts out with, most of the time, there's a grooming process that takes place. And it doesn't require that somebody was abused when they were younger. It's one of these things where people start preying on them. It may be a family member, it may be a local friend, someone they trust, or even a boyfriend that begins just really doting on them and begins grooming them. And I know Steve has a lot more experience with studying what people have done and how to prevent that and identify it early on.
Well, how do we identify it?
You know, it really is a case of being aware, and teachers and administrators and just community members being able to identify what looks to be suspicious and unusual activity on the part of young people. But again, a big part of awareness and the education process is being able to train the children themselves, the young people, so that they can protect themselves and their peers, their fellow youngsters and students who can see unusual behavior, because they're a lot closer to the day-to-day activities of their friends, so they can spot things more easily than parents and teachers can.
Are you getting cooperation with local authorities? I mean, I'd assume that they would welcome this kind of education.
It's growing more and more all the time.
Right.
The more we're pushing out there, the more opportunities we have to get in front of educators and law enforcement, people in the judicial system, people in health, human services, and children's services. The light bulb goes on. They can see it. They can relate it to experiences they've had on the job and that they've seen in their own real life. And when they can connect the dots and see and get the professional testimony that this, in fact, is happening here and in our country and in our state, they come on board immediately in terms of wanting to participate in the campaign to end this.
And big kudos to Grants Pass High School for being willing to take on such an ugly issue.
Right.
Because this is something where most children are not going to tell, or teenagers are not going to tell their parents, hey, this guy's buying me stuff, this guy's doing stuff for me. But their friends, they can see that. And so to be able to teach and educate the kids on awareness about this, how to identify it, and then how to intervene and how to come alongside their friends and help prevent this, just wow, I'm so grateful for Grants Pass that they're willing to do that.
Now, once someone has been abducted into this, they keep them on the move, right? I mean, they're just on the go constantly. Is that what happens?
That's a typical scenario, yeah. I mean, it's all about keeping the victims of this trafficking off balance, on the defensive, in a very again, vulnerable and defenseless position, state of mind. It's psychological terrorism. It's the rape. It's the same sort of thing that often happens in domestic abuse, where it's there's the beatings and the abuse, and then the "I'm sorry, I love you," or the blaming. It was your fault in the first place. I would never have done that because I care about you. And it's the back and forth that traumatizes and psychologically damages the victims to the point that they don't really understand what's going on.
The sex traffickers have become quite bold. They advertise. Is that a means of investigating and researching back to where they may be or how to rescue these girls?
It's a means. It's tough because of the layer of protection that the trafficker has. In order to convict someone, right now you can see that the girl is engaged in what's illegal activity, and those girls are the ones that are charged with the crime of prostitution. But the trafficker has got that layer of protection. In order to get to him, you've got to go through the girl who is protecting him, who is oftentimes in a love relationship or believes that she has a love relationship with the trafficker and looks at him as a boyfriend. She's also been traumatized. She's been threatened. She's been beaten. There's all sorts of leverage used, threats against her family. I know where you live. I know who your parents are. I can get to them if you were to do anything.
Intimidation.
To me, yes, intimidation is huge.
All right, so a couple of things. What can viewers and listeners do, guys?
They can be aware. They can become aware. They can look to learn more. Go to our website and our Facebook page. Go to the events that we have happening in Grants Pass this week. One of our members, Caleb LaPlante, is having an ongoing monthly meeting at Club Northwest in Grants Pass. The first one is this coming Monday, the 27th of January.
Okay.
And plug into our group, plug into other groups in the area, plug into investigating this on your own. And then once you have learned more about what's going on, take on the issue yourself. Become an advocate.
All right, actsouthernoregon.com is the website. actsouthernoregon.com is the website. And Duane, before I let you go, is there anything legislatively being addressed on this issue?
Well, I know they addressed some things. They toughened up some crimes this last session. It's one of these things where there's always things that we're trying to push forward. And this is something that, assuming I end up in office, I look forward to teaming with people like Steve and their ministry and trying to move forward on that sort of thing.
That's wonderful. Well, guys, thanks. And I really hope folks will, and you're both passionate about this, but it's the awareness that's going to solve this problem. It's getting the word out. It's getting educated on it. I would hope pastors and lay pastors, you know, other associates on church ministries would go to your workshops and things and learn how to spy for this and look out for it. And we need to get this taken care of. And more people are getting involved in it. So thanks, guys, for coming in. Again, actsouthernoregon.com. Is that right?
Yes. That's right.
All right, that's where you find out about it, actsouthernoregon.com. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.